Today I'm going to share some scenes from my recent market that I participated in this past weekend, and then I'm going to go through and talk about the results of that market, my overall thoughts, my review of the market, and would I do it again, and then briefly touch on what's coming up. So stay tuned. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Christine with What's Up Cupcake Crafts. If you'd like to see more content like today's, please don't forget to like and subscribe below, and let's go ahead and kick this off. Good morning. It is market morning. I am at the market setup location. It's Geeksboro Market, and yeah, I'd never been here before. I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina, but it's a pretty cool setup, as you can see behind me. I got here just as the rain started. How do I have this much stuff? So yeah, I'm gonna get my booth set up. I got almost 2 hours until the market starts, so plenty of setup time. So let's go. Alright, I'm all set up at Geeksboro. It's already an hour and a half in, and made back my booth fee pretty much immediately after we opened, so that was fantastic. The market looks really fun, and yeah, just plugging away, trying to keep things restocked. Going to jot down some notes. Want to go check out the other vendors. I'll check back in later. Alright, a couple hours left. It was really busy at the start. Had a little bit of a lull, then it got busy again. So, feeling good. Overall, really happy with how things have been going. Good, how are you? Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Customers came. And yeah, so it's been coming in waves, and I finished a sushi cat, but I already put it on the other side of the table, so I'll probably just drop a picture in here. So did that during one of the lulls, but I've got really cute stuff from my vendor neighbors. I got the cutest little, it's a little fairy, and I think it glows in the dark. From, who is this? This speckled egg. Hello! And I got a Nessie keychain. I posted about it on my Instagram stories, but yeah, it's been fun. Oh, I also got this teenager that's here does keychains, and they have lots of beads on them, and you can make them custom. And I asked if she could just attach one to this claw hook, and it's a stitch marker now. So I also got one that is Stitch as a stitch marker. Anyways, I got customers, so I'm gonna go check in later. General layout. So it's quiet right now, but it's definitely been coming in waves. All right, I'm back. My kids are playing video games in the other room, so hopefully this new fire buddy that I've got here helps with potential background noise. But I wanted to do kind of a market debrief of Geeksboro in Greensboro, North Carolina. Talk about some of the details about the market, or my kind of overall impressions, thoughts, how I did, feedback from maybe some other vendors just in my conversations with them of how they did, top items, and lessons learned. So I'm not going to do any of that in the order that I just said, because I'm just speaking from what's in my head. I do have my notes that I took at the event and after the event, so I keep a little notebook at my markets, and I'll kind of jot down thoughts throughout the day, or like if something sold out right away, I can write it down just so I can make note of what seemed to be popular, things like that. So to start, Geeksboro was in Greensboro, North Carolina. It was run by Dragon's Hoard, which is a game store that is directly adjacent / connected to the location of the Geeksboro market. The market is indoors, which was great. That was my first time doing an indoor market, and really enjoyed that aspect of it. They were very well organized. The co-owner of the shop, Sherry, I believe her name was, sent out very detailed communications with specifics around logistics. There was a loading dock that you could use if you needed support in getting set up the night before. You could message her and coordinate that. So the night before, I got an email that detailed all of the specifics of like when to show up, how to load in from the loading area, where my booth was going to be. I had paid for a premium booth, so the structure of the booths, from what I recall, was there's a residency booth, so you paid, I think, $200, which gave you access to all 4 markets that they do. They do one every quarter. And you're a highlighted vendor. Like it seems like a great deal. And you get kind of premium spots or choice of spots. They do a lot more advertising around the premium vendors. I think some of their premium vendors even might have store space in the game shop next door. I don't know if that's a separate gig. Or you could pay $100 to be a one-time participant, and you just apply each time that you're interested and pay that fee. And you get a 10 by 10 space that comes with a table and 2 chairs. And I believe those vendors also get advertising, because I got a, spoiler alert, I got a premium booth and had 10 by 10 space. They advertised on social media the week before. They were advertising building up to this, but social media, they were advertising each individual vendor that was premium or a resident vendor. And then for $25, you could kind of get what I assume would be an artist alley kind of space, which was in the middle. It was just a table and 1 or 2 chairs. So $25 was a really great, affordable price for someone that wanted to, put their toe in the water, to test out a market, get their thoughts on it. And yeah, it seemed like they were also really good about vetting vendors to make sure that there wasn't an overabundance of any type of vendor. So from what I could tell, I never was able to check out the full market because it took me the full 2 hours to set up. That's part of this discussion. And I didn't see anyone from my area, and I could kind of get a line of sight throughout the place. So there was no booth that I could see that was a fully dedicated crochet plushie vendor like myself. I did see a couple people wandering around with crochet plushies, but it was a very specific one item. It was a alien, like a very traditional X-Files type green alien. But I only saw a couple of people with that. And then the few booths that I was able to make it to in between sales and in just moments where someone wasn't in my booth, I didn't see any additional crochet plushies. So they did, in the application on EventMe, which is what they did the application process through, they did say that they were at capacity for crochet vendors, 3D vendors, and something else. So I think that's great that they called out and were really focused on making sure there wasn't too much saturation of particular vendor types. So Greensboro, North Carolina is about a little over an hour away from where I am in Raleigh. So it was an early morning for me. Setup began at 8 a.m. And I like to get to a setup earlier rather than later, just because I don't know what I'm dealing with. I like to kind of scope out my space, and I bring crafts or an audiobook that I can listen to if I have extra time. That has never happened. I think maybe once I have had extra time, but usually I take up every minute. I am constantly changing things around. So I had to leave the house a little before 7 a.m. So it was bright and early for me in terms of getting up and getting ready. And I had the car packed the night before, but I kind of panic run around the house, making sure I didn't forget something the morning of. Got there a little after 8 and was one of the first people there to set up. but they had staff from the shop that was very willing and excited to help everyone load things in. So that was so great. I got my stuff out of my car within minutes, moved my car to the back of the parking lot so that other vendors could load in. And I was close to the loading dock at my wall area that had electricity. Fantastic. I didn't end up using it. I didn't really need it, but it was nice to have access to, especially if I needed to charge my phone or something like that. And I was on the main aisle right when you walk in the front door. So the front door was on one side, the loading dock was at the back side, but I was on that same aisle. So if someone were to walk in and just start going straight back, my booth would be on that initial path. So I was still situated between two vendors. They were both lovely. I'll talk about them. But yeah, so setup was really easy. There was already the table with the tablecloth in the space, 2 chairs. So I, of course, had too much stuff. I brought tables. I brought my own chair, so I didn't end up taking that out of the car. I brought a little bookcase from home, which I have not brought previously, but I figured since it was indoors and I've seen some people have bookcase setups, like a foldable, collapsible bookcase, I wanted to try it. So I brought that, and then my plushies, which I had kind of culled to be specific to this market with some regulars like my Highland cows. Yeah, so it pretty much took me the full 2 hours to set up just between getting all the tables in place. This market was the first one that I had gotten table risers for, because I've been seeing posts about having tables a little bit higher up, just so that people aren't having to completely stoop down when they're shopping. That seemed to work really well, and it was nice for me just not having to bend over every time I'm reorganizing stuff. It still was at like a great level for kids too. It was actually kind of right at eye level for them versus at arm level. So I feel like it worked out overall. I would actually probably get one more set of table risers because of course they only come as a set for 2 tables and I have usually 3. So yeah, did my setup. I did not bring my hanging bar crate for Swing Buddies because my Swing Buddy stock had been depleted a little bit and I didn't want like a half-filled bucket that was kind of taking up space on the table. So I just did a dowel rod in between 2 crates. I think it was a little harder to see them because of that. But I mean, they still got attention, so that wasn't really an issue. It's just I need to work on stocking those up, and I just haven't had time because I was focusing on so many other things to get ready for this market. So got set up, was next to one vendor that had keychains, magnets, very Pokemon heavy, which I just don't know enough about. I mean, my kids do, but I don't know enough about Pokemon. So I did end up getting a little keychain from them for my son for his birthday, which is in about a week. And I have to whisper because I don't know how close they are. And I got a Nessie keychain for my market keys because my market keys are just thrown in with the rest of my keys. It's like my lockbox, my little chain to lock my lockbox to the table if needed, if I'm in like a very busy public market. And they get lost on my keychain, and I will 100% at some point, if there's like the summer and a lull between markets, forget which key's which. And, I have other locks and things for my camper that all look very universal at times. And so this way I have a Nessie keychain that's for markets. And it's adorable, and I love Nessie, and it's one of my top selling items. So anyways, the other side was a polymer clay booth, and she had beautiful earrings, jewelry, and then little like cloches that had figures in them. I actually got one from her that I put up there, but it's tiny, so you probably can't see it, but it's a little fairy in a little mossy field. That was the speckled hag. I'll put her link in the comments below if you want to shop her. But both of my neighbors were resident vendors, so they got extra advertising. And like one of them was being interviewed and filmed for an interview to talk about their booth. So if you're localish to the area, I would definitely recommend checking Geeksboro out for that. They seem to do a lot for their resident vendors, and it's a really good deal from what I could tell. So this market, from what I understand, they just started doing it in the fall. So it's still fairly new. The game shop next door, it seems like they may coordinate it, or maybe it's just always like this on a Saturday at that market, but they had a lot of like tournaments going of different games. So I popped into the market a couple points, or the shop next door a couple points during the market. That's where the restroom was. They had snacks. And it was hopping. It was very busy. There were lots of people sitting at tables playing games. You could tell people coming into the market at points were coming from the game space next door because they were talking about it. So that was nice. That had a nice draw. They did a lot of advertising from this event, from what they communicated in the email. They said there was like advertisements at the DMV, which if you're not in the States, I don't know if it's called the same thing, but the Department of Motor Vehicles. So there's a lot of people that have to go to that, as well as in local papers and local like online venues. So that was really cool that they had that much word of mouth. So it was still new, but it seemed like they were really working hard to hype it up. I do think January is a tough time. Last week, I think I mentioned this in my prep video, we had snow forecasted for last weekend. So there was still snow on the ground in some places. That wouldn't affect driving here this time. But, you know, you never know. January, it could snow, it could not. It rained a little as I was coming in, but beyond that, the weather seemed just chilly. So, you know, that could deter people from going to a market. Also, people like me who attempted no spend January, I failed miserably at it, and at this point I've just given up. You know, people are coming out of the holidays not as eager to spend money on things that are just not essentials. So the market overall, I think, had a great amount of foot traffic. There definitely was a lot of people that came into the booth that were very much like, oh my gosh, look at this, I love this, so on and so forth, but didn't buy. And that wasn't the overall the market went well for me. But, you know, just as a whole, January, I think is a tough month for a market. And being that this is my first January doing markets, I think it's something that, you know, will definitely get jotted down in this notebook as a learning lesson. Discussion with the other vendors, though, was that, you know, again, this is a great market that's being built up, and the organizer is doing so much to really make it successful. So keeping that in mind. So it took me the 2 hours to set up, and I think 5 minutes into the market, my first customer came over from another vendor who had been eyeing my booth across the way, and she hit my booth fee, the $100, immediately. I mean, she was ready to shop. She grabbed 4 of my Junimo patterns, or plushies, which are a free pattern on Instagram. So I was like, okay, Junimos, that's the way I go. They're little apples with arms and legs, and they're very cute. So grabbed 4 of those Junimos. She grabbed my little baby Wyvern. I had only made one of those, and I was like, I don't even know if people know what a Wyvern is. I'm at a geek market, of course they're gonna know. So she grabbed the Wyvern, which I think I had at $35. It might have been $40. And I think one of my sea otters, which I almost debated not bringing, this little sea otter lovey, which they're super cute and they generally do well, but I was like trying to hone in on mostly geek market type items just because of, I didn't want to have everything that I make on there. It just would be a lot of stuff, but I had 2 of them left. Both of them sold at this market. So note to self. My white owls, I had 2 white owls. I made 4 owls total for the market, but 2 white ones immediately sold. So that's definitely going to be something I will be replenishing. I figured that would be the case. People just love a snowy owl anyways. But, you know, I think the association with Hedwig from Harry Potter is a big draw for them. My otter snugglies both sold. My medium dragon from Posy Creates that I had just made last week sold. I think by the same person. Actually, she came back and bought it again, or shopped again. And then my Mushy Pops, which were new to my booth, but I've been wanting to make them for a while now. Mushy Pops were a hit, and I had them in a little basket at the front. So I sold out, or I think all except one of those. So I'll have to replenish those. I also made a little mouse in a mushroom house, and I only made one again because prepping for this was really fun. Like, I just had so many patterns I finally was getting the chance to do coming off of the fall market season and honing in on a lot of holiday items. But I this time was like, I'm gonna go full on whimsy, cute little poppers and fidget items and sets. So it was a little mushroom house that had a tiny little mouse in it, and that sold very early. So got to make some more of those. Yeah, so overall, the market, it went well. There were definitely lulls, but not long enough where I could even get far away from my booth. Like, I would see that there was kind of no one close enough down the row coming to the booth, so I would go and check out some other vendors. Again, I shopped both neighbors. I picked up some stickers because I love stickers for water bottles and things like that, journals. There was a sweet teenager that had been making little keychains with silicone like beads and figures. And so she had those, and they were like $5. They were very inexpensive. And she was saying, like, if you see something you like from my row or wall of icons, I can make one for you right now. And so I was like, well, could you actually just make, because most of them were like a bunch of beads and the little figurine. I was like, could you just make the figurine with the lobster claw? Because I would love to have a stitch marker. And I've actually ordered some on Etsy. They haven't come yet just because shipping. But, you know, I wanted to support this teenager who has her little business that she started. And so I picked out Loki and a little Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. And she was like, yeah, okay, you know, I think it'll just be a couple bucks. Let me figure this out. I haven't done this before. Like, you just want the lobster claw and the marker? I was like, yes, that's all I want on it. I'll show you what it is once you create it. So her mom came over because she wanted to like verify what was needed and had to get out some wire pliers to make the swap out from what like the default of the lobster claw had. And she came back, they were perfect, and she was like, these will just be like $1. Girl, charge what you're worth. So I gave her $5 for the 2 stitch markers. She whipped it up while I was waiting. They are great. They're super cute. I'll drop a picture on some side of this. But yeah, she doesn't have an Instagram. Otherwise, I would share it. But her mom said she's working on it, and I told her to keep in touch because I would love to get more of them. So that was great. Again, had a really great time with the other vendors. You'll see in some of the videos I do in between, there were some bags of popcorn there. They had a kettle corn vendor that had like chocolate kettle corn and regular kettle corn. So I grabbed some for the family back home. Yeah, so it was a really good day overall. Just with the lulls, the last hour was dead. It was a 6-hour market. So I got there at 8 a.m., took the 2 hours to set up, and then it ran from 10 to 4. I was so exhausted by 3 o'clock, just tired. It had been an early morning, and it was dead the last hour. So that's actually when I think I saw the most of the other vendors. And in speaking to some of the other vendors, they said that the last hour has historically been like this. So I would think that this market could actually probably be a 5-hour market, if not a 4-hour market, maybe 11 to 3. That seems to be a good market range from what I've seen in previous markets that I've done. But overall, it was a good market. I had set some sales goals in my head, and I made about $450, which was great. I mean, $100 booth fee is steep, but I had a big space. And again, I think January is just a tough time to be selling. So their next market, if I didn't have a conflict / it was not so far from me, I would definitely consider it. If I was in that area, in a heartbeat, I would be there. It really was a great market, and I really enjoyed the other vendors that were there. The clientele was so friendly. I had a lot of fun. I actually learned a lot about Stardew Valley, which is where the Junimos are from, because people just wiped me out of those little Junimos, and it reminded me of a game, Harvest Moon, that I used to play and love. They were like, one of the creators is a creator of Harvest Moon. So note to self, not that I need another hobby, because all of my time is taken up by crochet. So before this gets too long, just some final thoughts. I realized my business cards, I made them like right when I started the business. I don't even think I'd had a business email set up yet. So it has my my Etsy shop, which has no items in it. And it has my blog, which is not updated since I started doing crochet. But I didn't want to do Instagram because I wasn't sure if I was going to be focusing on that. It doesn't have my email. I need to update that. So I'm going to add some stickers to my existing business cards to include that information, because I find I've been writing my email down a lot for people when they ask, can I ship? Will I do this? Will I do that? And Instagram is really what I'm most present on. So I need to update my business cards with that information. I need to update my blog to direct people to these other sources too, as well as I want to post things on there, some details similar to what I share on here, like top items. Definitely want to share some of my favorite free patterns that I've done that have been market bestsellers. So I think that might actually be one of my next videos coming up. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, but that was really the learning from it. I got home really late. I did place an order the night before at the Michaels in Greensboro, because it is a bigger city compared to where I am in Raleigh. And the Michaels by me are the worst. They have nothing. It is just a mess. And then their yarn selection, I've never seen a full bin at my Michaels. And so when I was looking online the night before, trying to find some Feels Like Bliss Lion brand yarn, because I want to do that in a couple of patterns, my Michaels, of course, had nothing. But this Michaels in Greensboro had a bunch of stuff. So I placed a store pickup order for there. So I swung by there on the way home, and it was the most beautifully organized Michaels. It did not have completely full shelves of yarn, but it had a full extra row of yarn, and they had a lot more inventory out on the shelves. So very jealous. They also had a cute little wooden castle blank, like a birdhouse, but it's not the giant wooden castle that most Michaels have, but a smaller one. I really like those wood blanks. You'll see in my market booth setup, I have a little pirate ship, and I, lead my mermaids and sea monster and stuff against that. So I got the castle because it goes with a lot of the other stuff. I have my gargoyles and my dragons and all that. But yeah, so I was able to get a little Michaels pickup in there, and then grab some dinner and headed home. I was so tired on that drive home, just ready to change into sweats. But yeah, overall, I'd say it was a successful market. My top items that I mentioned, just to recap, the Junimos, definitely going to bulk make some of those for the next Geek market that I'm doing in a few weeks, as well as the Mushy Pops. And I'm going to do some more white owls, because I do have the inventory of other color owls that just didn't sell. They got a lot of attention, but the white owls were the ones that got snatched up. I have to do some more dragons because those are gone, and the Wyvern. Yeah, my Link and my Elphaba got so much attention and so much love. No one purchased them. Again, I kind of think the timing of this was just an issue with that. But yeah, so I would 100% do this market again if it was closer to me. And I probably will do it again at some point. I just need to look at my schedule and kind of map out where I'm going to be and where it goes with some of my breaks. When it's coming to check in on me, or she's just stretching and readjusting her nap spot. That's what it is. She's switched nap spots. So yeah, that's it. I hope this was helpful. If you like this content, if you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe. I will be going to the snow this weekend, which I'm super excited about. Real snow, not Raleigh snow, and taking the kids for their birthday. So that'll be fun, going with friends. So we'll just have a nice weekend, playing in the snow, skiing, snowboarding, all that fun stuff. And I'm going to bring some projects with me to get ready. My next market is in 2 weeks, and it's the Lunar New Year market in Raleigh. And I'm really excited for that one. I have a lot of fun things planned, and it immediately rolls right into the week after that is my next Geek market. And then I think I have a month off between markets, but a lot coming up. So I think what I'll probably share next is a video of my top free patterns that I've gotten from Instagram or other locations that have been market bestsellers. So stay tuned. Again, subscribe if you want to follow along. And thanks again for joining me today. Bye.